Early morning, everybody. Happy time change day. What do they call this? Like spring forward day? I don't know. It's awfully early. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is happening? Anyway, so I got a question on Instagram asking about places that I have traveled to. So I'm going to tell you where I have traveled and we're gonna go from there and see how it's going. So anyway, I apologize for all of this. I'll wake up as I go along. All right, so the first, of course, this is no surprise to any of you guys, Disney World, right? We've been to Disney. Gosh, I went 3 times as a child, and then after that, I went as an adult on my honeymoon, and that was in the mid 2000s. And then after, we've been every year since then. So since it's 2019 now, right? So pretty much every year since 2000 and like 6-ish. So a lot. We've been a lot. We do not live in Florida. We live up in Ohio. So there's that. Other places that we've gone, because you guys know about Ohio or about Disney stuff. We've also traveled fairly much like around the east coast of Florida. We've been down to Miami multiple times. We've been like Fort Lauderdale and like up West Palm, upwards towards like Stewart and that kind of general area. I have been to Key West before. We drove down there when I was in high school, and briefly just for like lunch, and then we turned around and left. So that was not as exciting. Other things, I used to, when I was a kid, we would vacation in Boca Raton, Florida, which is, you know, kind of like that eastern, southeast side of Florida. And then we also vacationed on the west coast too. We would vacation in, oh, what is that called? Like Naples area, and why can I not think of the other names right now? Because it's too early, that's why. That is why. So outside of Florida, I have been to Georgia. Of course, we used to drive to Florida, so, but I've been to Georgia, I've been to Tennessee, we've been to like Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and that's kind of like the Dollywood type of area of Tennessee. Very pretty with the mountains and all of that. Kind of like a touristy type of area. They have a lot of, it kind of reminds me of Orlando proper itself, because they've got like, I think it's like either the Ripley's, believe it or not, or like one of those kinds of places. They had like lots of like go-kart racing kind of things. And when we were there, it was actually a low-rider truck like convention or something. I don't know if they were conventions, but they were actually like a parade or something. They had like a display of a whole bunch of lowrider trucks, which is not like really my thing, but that was going on. And funny story about that, it's not really funny, but it's kind of a weird story. I and my cousins, it was like a cousin's trip on my mom's side of the family, and we were all standing, I'm trying to remember when this was. I was in middle school, I think. It was the time of like when the women's soccer won the women's like World Cup soccer thing. I'm not a big soccer person, but that was like a big deal at that time, so I don't know when that was. So anyway, right after that, we were standing on the like open air balcony area of our hotel. As myself, my sister, a couple of cousins were standing out there, and we had kind of like our feet dangling off the balcony area, and it had like one of those open kind of railings or whatever, and probably the second floor had to have been. And there was this like kid, this guy that like jumped up and tried to grab our feet. He like got my foot, and then he fell, and then I saw him like he couldn't walk. My life is weird. I need a t-shirt that says my life is weird. So anyway, so we saw his parents helping him get in the car, and then he came back a little bit while later with his leg in a cast. It's like, maybe you shouldn't have been jumping up trying to grab these people's feet. I think he was trying to take off our shoes. I don't know who he was. I don't know. Anyway, life is weird. So, outside of Tennessee, I have been to, I think it's Mississippi, just a little corner of it. What else? Where else was I? I've been to Virginia. I've been to Massanutten area. That was an interesting trip. We drove there from Ohio, and it was a pretty good little drive. It was fairly windy to get through, like, down into Virginia from there. But nice little, you know, kind of a cute little town area. We've been to Washington, D.C. twice. Once, okay, funny story about that too. So the first time we went just as a family vacation, I was in middle school again. And then I went in high school with my high school band, okay? And I tell all my students this because it's like learn from my mistakes. So we're driving from Central Ohio, right, to Washington, D.C., which is a good hike, right, in one of those like charter buses. We had like 6 charter buses. So we get there and we're supposed to change into our band outfits and have some lunch. So I remember this very, very vividly. We went to Subway, got changed into the thing, and we lined up on the steps in front of the Capitol building for a big picture. And it was all of the grades. It was the graduating seniors and then seniors, juniors, and sophomores. So we had like well over 200 kids at this marching band trip, and it was for the year 2000 4th of July parade. So we're all lined up on the steps, and it was July, right, in DC. So DC can get pretty hot and kind of humid and all the things. And at the time, I had taken like an allergy medicine, and then I also took a Dramamine because motion sickness. If you guys have seen my Disney videos, you know that I am prone to motion sensitivity, so I do other things now. I don't do Dramamine, but so we're standing on the steps and I start feeling lightheaded because why not, right? For like no reason. And I think the whole thing came down to being dehydrated from the 2 like antihistamine types of medications that I was on. So I pass out and I hit my head on the step of the Capitol building. So I had to go to George Washington Hospital in downtown DC and get stitches in my head during the band trip. And I always tell people, do not lock your knees and do not, like, make sure you drink enough water and like all the things so you don't pass out on your band trips. So yeah, it's just really like, I'm like, learn from my mistakes, y'all. Like, it's just very much, I don't know. Yeah, it's a good time. So anywhoozle, so let me go on. So other places that I've been, hi Carrie, how are you? So let's see, have outside of being on the east, well, I guess over to the East Coast, I guess we can go that way. So I have driven through Pennsylvania, we've gone to Maryland, we've gone to New Jersey, up into Connecticut, Vermont, New Hampshire, on like a traveling like road trip. I did that 2 summers ago to visit my essential oil family, super fun. And then we went into Canada, so we drove through like up into Detroit. We went into, what's that called, Windsor? That doesn't sound right to me. What is that place called? Is that what it's called? Right across the border. And then I have we went up into like Sudbury, we went to Ottawa, down into Niagara, and came like that circle. So that was super fun to also visit Essential Oil family in Canada. So that was good. I've been out to Salt Lake City twice now, going back again in July and again in September. So I love Salt Lake City. That is such a beautiful, clean, big city. I'm not a huge big city person, but it is just such a beautiful place. The mountains are gorgeous, and everybody's just so nice. And I really like Salt Lake. It's just a thing. I don't know. I really like it. I've also been to Washington State. We've been to Seattle. I've been to the Pike Place Market. My brother-in-law got married out there. So, other places. I've been to, I guess I've been to Utah 3 times now that I think about it. We did a road trip. We flew into Colorado and we drove west towards Utah, down south into Arizona. So we went to Sedona. We drove over like the Continental Divide. Here's an interesting thing about that. So apparently if I don't drink enough water, and this kind of goes back to like the fainting story again, I get a little bit of altitude yuckies. And I didn't know, apparently, now I tell all my essential oil family this, so if you guys are essential oil people, listen to me. Peppermint, 1, and cedarwood are your BFFs when you are going to a place of altitude that you're not used to. So here in Central Ohio, we're about 900 feet. The Continental, like, middle area, right where the mountains are, it's about 10,000 feet. So we drove, my husband drove our little rental car that we had, and we were climbing, and at that point in time we hadn't reached the very top yet. We were about 8,000 feet up, I think, and I didn't know to use cedar wood or peppermint to help with that. And so when we started climbing, I started getting like really bad like heart pounding, because it's like a lack of oxygen, right? And like kind of pains in my chest, like my chest was feeling really, really tight. I just did not feel right. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're going up over 10,000 feet. Like, what am I gonna do? So I like chug a bottle of water. This was in November of 2016. I can remember it like it's yesterday. And like I drank this entire bottle of water, and that helped me, which is strange. I was able to like feel okay, but I told my husband, I was like, when we get up there, we got to keep going. We cannot stop. And it was the safest route to go because it was November, and it was like major highway, right? Highway 70 going out west. So we weren't like the other road, the other option, I think it's 80 that goes out there, was completely snowed over because, you know, November. So anyway, so I was like, just keep driving. So eventually we came down, and Sedona, we saw the Monument Valley. Totally beautiful. Oh my gosh, if you guys have not seen Monument Valley, so good. Hi Sue, how are you? But I gotta tell you, I did not feel good driving up in that altitude. But now, when we go to like Salt Lake and like other places where I know that it's gonna be altitude that I'm not used to here, I start doing cedar wood. I roll it right on like the back of my head twice a day for the week leading up, twice a day while I'm in Salt Lake, and twice a day when I get back home. And luck, I don't know, it just works. So I'm gonna knock on wood here that it keeps working for me. So all y'all that are coming with me out to Salt Lake, you gotta make sure you get your cedar wood. Get your cedar wood ahead of time. And peppermint around the ears helps too. So, any hoozle. All right, makeup time. So other places that I've been in the airports of like LAX. I didn't get out of LAX. I've kind of been to California, but that doesn't really count. I've been to Las Vegas. That was an interesting trip. We actually ended up, my husband played with a rock band out there, so that was an interesting trip to Vegas. I don't know if I would voluntarily go to Vegas again. Like, I would much rather go to Disney. Like, they say it's the adult Disney World or whatever, but I disagree. I just think it's like a bunch of cats on leashes and like drunk people and people imitating Mickey, and it just, I don't like, I'm not a gambler really. I like little scratch off tickets. Because we were there, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do one slot machine just to say I did it, and I did it, and I didn't win anything, and that was enough for me. But it was so, like, the hardest part for me being in Las Vegas is how dry the air was. I just, like, as soon as we, and how smoky the actual hotel lobbies were. So we stayed at the Excalibur, which is like catty corner across the street from, like, it's across from New York, and like MGM, and there was another one that had like palm trees and flamingos. Maybe that's called Flamingo, I don't know. So we stayed at Excalibur, and it was so, like, as soon as we walked in, it was so smoky in there that it, like, immediately my eyes were like gritty and dry, and obviously Vegas is in a desert, right? So it's kind of like, oh, but my throat was so dry, my eyes were dry, my skin was dry. I was like, I can't deal with this. And we were there for, you know, about a week. It wasn't quite a week's time, almost. And it just felt like, I don't know, y'all. I voluntarily wouldn't go back. My favorite place actually in Las Vegas was what is that hotel name? Hey, Mr. Simple Life. Yeah. What's that hotel that we liked in Vegas? What's that called?
The Mandarin Oriental.
The Mandarin Oriental. Now here's a fun, I'm all about funny stories. So when we walk into the Mandarin Oriental, we ended up, sorry, you all ask me what I always put on my face. I'm gonna tell you. Orange Blossom, sorry, I wiped my face with a Seedlings baby wipe. I'm like totally discombobulated. Orange Blossom Moisturizer. That's what I'm putting on my face right now. Okay, so we walk into the Mandarin Oriental because we knew they had really good gluten-free restaurants, at least according to Google. So we walk in and we're on like the ground level, and there were these two employees, like front desk people. Apparently they were having something with like a fire alarm going off, or I don't know exactly what happened, but they were like fire trucks outside the window that they were looking out of. So we walk in, and honest to goodness, and Mr. Simple Life thought this too, we both thought that they were mannequins because they didn't move. So I was like, are they alive? Like, they looked like wax figures, because honestly, none of them moved. None of them like acknowledged our presence or anything. They just like were staring out the window. I was like, this is a really weird place. So anyway, eventually we realized they are real humans, and they were able to help us figure out where these restaurants were. But I was like, I've never experienced that before. I didn't think they were real people. It's really strange. But we did have really good meal there. I think we may have had 2 meals there. I don't know. But it was the only smoke-free hotel on the Strip, and it's not a casino. The only non-casino on the trip. On the Strip too. So I was like, well, if we ever come back, this is where we're staying. Because it was the first time that I could actually like breathe and not have smoke or sand in my face. So I don't know. I don't know. Not a big Vegas person. Anywho, other places that I've been. So it's funny because I always talk about Disney, but I've been to a lot of different places. We've also been to Banff, Canada. Banff, we love Banff. Like, oh my gosh, if you guys have ever been up there, you will totally agree with me on this. I'm making a concealer. So I've got a little bit of the moisturizer left, and I'm putting some warm one in there too. So just to keep you guys up to date what I'm doing. So Banff is in Alberta, and it is the Canadian Rockies. And if you guys know Disney, and if you've ever seen the Canada movie, it is like the mountain scene of the Circle Vision 360 movie. I love, love, love Banff, like a whole lot. It is seriously one of my absolute favorite places ever. It's like heaven on earth. I would say my other place, and I briefly mentioned that we went here, is Sedona, Arizona. We loved Sedona. And you know, the actual draw of going to Sedona, since we were visiting my brother-in-law in Boulder. Good morning, good morning. So I really, really, really liked Sedona a lot. We flew into Denver, drove to Boulder, stayed there, drove over Monument Valley, and then came down and like stayed in Sedona for like 5 days maybe. Such a beautiful, peaceful, wonderful place. I would go back there in an absolute heartbeat. And then we drove to Phoenix to fly home. Speaking of, this is the same trip where we drove over that Continental Divide, and it was just like overload for my body. When we flew home, I had the worst headache of my life, and it was all because of like the altitude changes, and I didn't know about cedarwood, y'all. So anyway, Young Living Cedarwood, I'm telling you, it's a lifesaver if you are going to any place of altitude changes from what you're used to. It was like, oh my goodness. I just swear by it now because it really helps, but I wish I had it then and I didn't. Alrighty, other places I have been. I know I'm probably forgetting something, but I think that's like the gist of it. All over Ohio. Obviously, I've been up to Cleveland, I've been to Cincinnati, been to Springfield. It's exciting. I've been down to Portsmouth, Cambridge, Elyria. Not as exciting. Yeah, that's pretty much where I've been. All the places that I've been to. So, all right, so I'm gonna finish my makeup now because I'm like super distracted with everything, but it's been a fair amount. I mean, we haven't been over to Europe yet or anything like that. You know, it's probably in the cards at some point in time. We just haven't done that. Who knows? We might go to other places that we yet to be determined. But yeah, fair amount of places. So are you guys surviving this time change? I seriously feel like it's 6 a.m. right now. I was telling Mr. Simple Life this. I had really strange dreams last night. I dreamt a lot about road rage, which is kind of an odd thing for me to dream about. I don't really dream about things like that very much. A little strange. So if any of you guys like NSYNC, part of my dream was there were these people imitating NSYNC. There was all of them, and they were all accounted for, but they were very much not in sync, and that made me apparently very upset. And so I was yelling out the car window that they were not in sync and they needed to go away. What is happening? I don't even know what's going on. So anyway, it's just funny. But anywho, so you're going to be seeing, and I talked about this yesterday a little bit, more live videos here on YouTube, most likely on Instagram and on Annie Simple Life on Facebook. Hey, Mr. Simple Life, our Amazon Prime order has been delivered. Would you mind bringing that in at some point in time? We've got some frozen veggies on the porch. So, hi Gina, how are you? I'm so glad you're catching me live. Would it be helpful for you guys? Did you hear what I said? Mr. Simple Life?
You want it right now?
Oh, anytime. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be right now. So I have the ability of putting up like when I'm going live on YouTube, like little thumbnails that kind of, it looks like I've uploaded a live video or a new video, but it's just like an announcement of when I'm going live. Would that be helpful for you guys to like pre-plan these things and not just be like super willy-nilly and like surprise? I think that would be helpful. I know that's something that my friend Chris does from Spokesman. He puts up his like little announcements so people can plan for it. Maybe I should do that so people can plan for it. I don't know. So anyway, so by the way, this is the Warm One foundation. Okay, I will definitely put up my announcements then. I will do that. Also, if you guys have things you want me to talk about in future videos, let me know that too. Always looking for good little topics to chat about that you guys are interested in hearing about. Okay, Savvy Minerals, Warm One, and a little bit of 2 foundation brush. And misting spray. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put my blush on. This is, I do believe you're blushing blush, which is very hard for me to say that. Anytime I try to say that, it's like blah, blah, blah. So this is the makeup that I use. I love it. It is Young Living makeup. It is the best mineral makeup I have ever used in my life. It stays on legit all day long. I put it to the test at Disney World. I left the room at 8 in the morning, came back at 9 at night after being on like everything at Animal Kingdom, and it looked like I just put it on, which is amazing. Okay, beginner and intermediate essential oil live video. Oh, you betcha. Yeah. I can absolutely do that. Easy peasies. Okay, so I actually, if you saw my unboxing, you would have seen that I got the Jet Setter eyeliner. This is very entertaining to watch me do, I'm sure. Maybe not. So what I have here, it's a black eyeliner. Can you see that? Kind of. It looks kind of blue in the camera, but it's really not. So what I do is I put a little bit of the eyeliner powder into the cap, you can kind of see, and then I have an eyeliner brush. Cooking videos, good idea, absolutely. We can totally share with you guys what we're cooking. You'll see tostones probably every single day. So I've got my eyeliner brush, I'm just spraying it down with the misting spray. So this is wet now, super thin. And I'm just going to dip it into the minerals so it makes it a little bit like a liquid eyeliner. And I'm going to just mix it up, mixy. Okay, I could creepily stare at you guys to do this so I can like see myself. I'm actually gonna look in my mirror. I have a mirror right here. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna try not to get it in my eye or all over the place. But I tried this yesterday and I really liked the black. Not that I didn't like the, oh no, did you see that? The dark multitasker, that's fine too. But I really liked the black. Can you see a difference? Kind of. The Jet Setter is the color that I'm using, and I really like it. I think it's good for, because I have dark hair, right? You guys can see. It's certainly not black, but it is very much like a dark color. And so it's not that the multitasker was bad, it's just I wear black mascara too. And so like I felt like it was like brown eyeliner, black mascara, and it's just kind of like strange. So oil suggestions for thyroid. Oh, you betcha, girl. You betcha. Yes, I I'll message you about that. My initial thought is a blend called Endoflex. I don't know if you're familiar with Young Living. Those are the only oils that I use. Endoflex is very supportive for thyroid health. We actually have a lot of girls in my essential oil family that do have thyroid support needs, as compliantly as I can say that. And they love Endoflex. Similar kind of thing to what you're talking about. Other ones I know from like endocrine support standpoint, nutmeg is really helpful. Nutmeg is mostly like helpful for the adrenal glands, but I mean it's all connected. Yeah, I'll shoot you a message because I do have some girls that have that same thing and they find some good support with oils for sure. I'm trying to concentrate. So here's something you might not know about me. I wear glasses normally. And so when I don't have my glasses on, everything's kind of like blurry. And so I have no idea if this line is straight on my eyes or not. I'm not sure. Okay, I just poked myself in the eye. But there we go. Ta-da! How about that? I really like it. And it'll stay on all day. Once it dries, it'll stay on for like the rest of the day, which is so good. I do have eyes that kind of water sometimes, depending on season changes and all the things. That's where lemon, lavender, and peppermint come into my equation because, oh my word, as you heard, what I used to take when I was in my DC story, I don't take that anymore. I used to have to fall asleep at 4 p.m. like clockwork. I would come home from school and I would be zonked out on my bed. So at this point in time, I love using lemon, lavender, and peppermint in a little roller bottle. And I just roll that around my ears, down my jaw, down my neck, and it helps so much. And I actually think I'm gonna have to do that today because it was so windy yesterday that like all the wind has blown all the things everywhere. And the trees here are just, at least, I don't know if you can see behind me, I have, what are those called? Flowering something. And they're starting to get their little buds on them. I mean, spring has just sprung, so it's like all of a sudden. And so I can just tell that I need a little bit of seasonal support. So anyway, the mascara that I'm using is the Savvy Minerals mascara also. I just have the complete collection. And it works really good for my eyeballs. Anyway, my sensitive eyeballs. Alrighty, so there we go. And then I'm just gonna put a little bit of lipstick on it and then call it a day and make myself a fruit smoothie out of apples and bananas. And something else. What did I just get from Amazon Prime? Kale. That's what I got. Also, if you guys follow me on Facebook, you might be seeing an experiment with the Thieves Fruit and Veggie Wash and some broccoli. I saw it like going around and I'm like, I want to try this myself. So I'm gonna try it myself. So if you don't follow me, Annie Simple Life on Facebook, go do that and you'll see an experiment of broccoli and how clean it gets with water versus Thieves Fruit and Veggie Soak. So I'm excited. All right, y'all, now that we're all ready, we are ready for the day. I'm gonna go make myself some breakfast and help put away these Amazon Prime delivery groceries. All right, y'all, have a good rest.